Honourable mentions for 2024. Before we get to the main two lists of the best songs of the year and the best albums of the year, I always hit you guys with some honourable mentions just to let you know that these were albums and some songs as well that I was enjoying throughout the year but didn't quite make the official list. So let's not waste any time. You know what this is. Let's just get into it. I've got 10 albums altogether, so let's blitz through these. Beyonce, Cowboy Carter. Yeah, you know, it's Beyonce kind of proving that her longevity and her staying power is still super impressive even in the year of 2024. She is proving that she's got versatility. She's hitting us with a totally different style and sound and making it very much her own. It was kind of branded as this country album, although at the very core of it, it's very much just Beyonce doing her own thing throughout. There is a lot of country influence throughout, of course, but yeah, it like she said on her post for it, which she did like one of them and that was it basically, that it is a Beyonce album at its core, and you can really hear that. It's Beyonce kind of darting around different sounds and influences kind of melding together. Yeah, you know what, it's really good. I think it runs a little long. I think if it had been shorter, I'd probably have put it on my top 50, but ultimately there's just so much material on one album. While it is impressive and the consistency is definitely there, I just don't know if it fully justifies its runtime, and not every track is quite as great as the next in my opinion. But look man, Beyonce with this kind of trilogy that she's going through at the moment has been really on top of it, you know, just been really hitting us with some high quality music. Bodyguard, fantastic track as well. The track with Miley Cyrus I thought was good too. Yeah, lots of really highlights, great highlights here. But yeah, just showing that this trilogy, whenever it kind of finalizes and we get the third one, is probably going to go down as a really, really memorable trilogy in pop music. In a similar lane, with me complaining slightly about the length of the album, I thought Blade's Cold Visions was very good, but yeah, definitely felt like by the end he was kind of wearing me a little thin with the sound. It just didn't quite feel like it needed to be that long, but again, overall the actual quality of the music is there. Quite like how he's kind of delving into some of the rage sound, and he sounds pretty much at home doing it. If there's any artist that was ever going to pull this off, it was always going to be Blade, of course. I've been liking a lot of Blade's music for the past few years. He took some time to grow on me, but I wanted to mention him here because I think Cold Visions will make a lot of people's lists. It just doesn't quite make mine. I want to mention Tap Here as well, one of the most lovely folk albums of the year. Really, really strong, vibrant sounds coming through here. Very much an album that I think could make a lot of year-end lists. Doesn't quite make it for me, but I think it's very good. TV Girl, George Clanton coming together in a collaboration that makes a lot of sense. It wasn't one I was expecting, but when you hear the sounds of both of these individual artists, yeah, of course they're going to come together and create an album that has a very consistent neo-psychedelic sound with that kind of chill wave, baggy stuff that George has been doing in his music, coming through for a really lovely album here. And that track with Jordana was a really good highlight for me as well. Also want to mention Aurora, who I had been fond of before ever so slightly. I was aware of her, wasn't a massive fan of her, but I thought this album here was probably her best to date actually. Thought the really strong like core melodies of the tracks were striking, and there was just so much colour going on here, like splashes of colour across this album. So many really like great like epic tracks. She's really good for that kind of dramatic sound. But yeah, I thought this one was really strong. Uama Hiroto, one of the best instrumental hip-hop artists probably of all time. I would go as far as saying that. I think he's a fantastic artist that really doesn't get the respect that he fully deserves for me. But yeah, of course, once again coming through with a really strong album. I think if you're not fully aware of him, you've just got to listen to that first 3 album run. I think everything since has still been really good, like this album here, but I'm not sure it's quite on the quality it was back, you know, in the day when he was really at his massive peak. But yeah, fans of Nujabes, like if you're not aware, of Mr. Hiroto, you're doing it completely wrong. I feel like English Teacher deserve a mention here as well. Was probably going to go down as one of the most underrated albums of the year until it won that Mercury Prize, and suddenly it felt like the album was actually a lot more praised than I'd realised, because I thought that was a bit of an outside shout to win that award, but of course it ended up taking it. And yeah, really cool band here from the UK, kind of feeling like, you know, a bit of like a continuation, I guess, of like the Black Country New Road sound being kind of transformed into this album here. I think they're very impressive, very excited to see where they go. I think they could probably get better than this album too, so yeah, very much on board with what they're doing. The completely off the wall album from Crizin da ZO, this like funk brasileiro meets like hip hop meets like dance music, all combined into this wacky as hell album. It's such a ride. One of the most unique sounding albums I've heard all year. It was very close to making my list as well, of course, just didn't quite make it. But honestly, just the lack of attention it's had from other music reviewers out there has been pretty sad to see. I guess the fact that it maybe is just a little bit out there, a little bit wacky, but you know, still a lot of people are very much fond of that experimental stuff, so I would love to see more people check it out based on this recommendation if you haven't already. I want to mention Sir as well, one of the most surprising R&B albums of the year, because I had heard Sir's music before, always felt it was a little lackluster, but honestly this album from Sir was very much hitting the spot. My final mention for this Honourable Mentions of 2024 video has to be Nubian Twist, who I did praise quite a lot on my 2021 year-end list. I did a review for their album as well. Thought that one was slightly better than this one, but still a lot of nice funky jazzy soulful instrumentals here coming through, lots of nice guitar work. You've got a Nile Rodgers feature on here as well. Who's ever going to turn down a Nile Rodgers feature? Come on. But yeah, absolutely adore what these guys do. Just makes me happy. It's just smile inducing music. I feel as though again they go quite a little bit under the radar, but I'm always here for what they're putting out, because it's absolutely a fun time every single time. And that's it for the albums. They are the Honourable Mentions of 2024. These are my picks that just didn't quite make the top 50, but the top 50 is stacked, so I'm sure you can understand why some of these aren't going to quite make it. I'm sure there's other albums that you're expecting to see me mention, hoping that I was going to mention, and yeah, you know what, I'm sure there are plenty that you would like to see on my list, but of course I can't fit everything in, and I can't love everything either. So hopefully you've enjoyed my picks here. I'm just going to let the songs roll out the video as I always do. There's just going to be a bunch of songs that don't quite make the top 50 songs list, and they're going to be honourable mentions as well. And again, stacked songs, lots of great songs this year, so it's been hard to narrow it all down to create a list, but that's the fun and the beauty of all of this. It's always so exciting to do. So let me know your thoughts, stick around for the songs as well, make sure you subscribe, check out my Patreon if you're feeling really generous. Do have a good day, and goodbye.
Like I'm John Wayne, 2 guns on my side, I'm